Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title, today I'll be talking about the books that I read in February as well as a life update and a channel update. So the life update is just that I got a new job. This is a job that I have been applying for, interviewing for months. Actually, my interview was back in November. It's a huge step for me in terms of my career. Right now, I just have a job in human resources, and I was doing that job while I finished school. And then I did a part-time job in addition to my full-time job. That job was a software quality assurance job, and it was just a 6-month contract. So after I did that job, I started looking for jobs around that field, and then I was contacted through LinkedIn. I was invited to apply and to do an interview, which for me, the interview itself would have been enough because this company is a major defense contractor. They are a huge company, they're a global company, and just to be interviewed was a huge deal, and I would have been satisfied just doing a good interview. So anyways, I come back home and I just told myself that I will be contacted and then they'll tell me that I did a good job and that's it, that's as far as I would go. But it turns out that I was a top candidate, and so they wanted me to come on board, and this was back in early December that I found this out. However, in order for me to actually get the job 100%, I have to get a security clearance. So those take 3 to 6 months to get. I was just waiting, thinking that in the summer I would find out, whether I got this job or not. I was already in my mind preparing for either or, like if I got the job or not. A week and a half ago, I get the call that my security clearance came in and I'm good to go, and how soon can I start? My new job is going to be a software quality engineer. A lot of what I'm going to be doing is classified, so I won't ever be able to really go into what I do, but essentially I'm going to be reviewing code and making sure that things work as they should. So this is a brand new job with a brand new company and a new location, so I'm going to be focused on that and finding a new place. So I'm not sure how much reading or YouTubing I'll be able to do. I do hope to do a couple of vlogs of the move and starting my new life in Tucson, Arizona. That's where I'll be moving. I kind of want to have some sort of documentation of this experience, and so I might do a vlog here or there. I'm hoping to come back to BookTube, or at least be able to post sporadically throughout this process. I just am not sure because I'm not sure of what the job is going to really be like. So I'm really excited. It's very bittersweet at the same time. I'm nervous. I have all of my family here in Florida and in Puerto Rico, so I'll be very far away from them. I'm already planning to come back for Christmas and things like that. But it's hard, I'll be going there by myself and starting a new journey, and I want to do my best. I also want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's been following me on Twitter and has been so supportive while I've been posting updates about my interview and my job offer and my move. Thank you so much. You guys are always so great and so kind with your comments and just so supportive. So I want to say a huge thank you to you guys. And then now we're ready to move on to the wrap-up portion. I read 4 books this month, and all of them were library books. The first book that I read was Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. This was a buddy read that I did with Kristen, Acacia, Hillary, and Amanda, and I'll have all of their channels linked down below. I think this is my 3rd book by Baldwin. I've read Giovanni's Room and Another Country. So yes, this is my 3rd one, and I had high hopes for this because I've loved those other 2 books. This is his debut novel, and it talks about a teenage boy named John and his family. We get introduced to his family life, and it's clear that he's struggling with his identity and with religion and his place in religion, and he has kind of a secret that he's been keeping to himself, and it's clear that he must make a choice. So when I first started this book, I had high expectations because I figured it was going to be a kind of coming-of-age tale with John struggling with these issues with religion in his family and kind of growing up, and us seeing him explore his identity in the book. But what ends up happening is that the book is broken up into parts, and each part has a different point of view of one of his family members. So we start with John's point of view, then we jump to his aunt's point of view, then his father's, and then finally his mother's, and back to John. There's a lot of talk about religion in this book. I don't mind reading about religion in books or reading about religious characters. I think it's very interesting to read about a character and how they're exploring and experiencing religion and struggles in their faith. But this book is not like that. This book felt like a disjointed sermon at times. I don't know if Baldwin wanted to illustrate how you can be religious and a sinner and how sometimes you can be a hypocrite. But there's just a lot of religion in this book and not much that really connects the characters to John. We start in the present, then we go back in time to each of their lives, and then we return to the present. So I guess we're supposed to understand how this person became who they were. But to me, it was just kind of a letdown. I felt like I was glazing over at parts when I was reading some of these passages on religion. So I ended up giving this one 2 stars. If you've read this book and you had a different experience with it, please let me know down in the comments. But honestly, it was just kind of a letdown for me after the other 2 books that I've read by him. And then the next one that I read after that was Homegoing by Yagyasi. I'm not going to go too much into this book because I did a full review, so I'll link it down below. This is a very popular book here on BookTube, and it had a lot of hype, and so I was very nervous kind of starting this book because usually hyped up books, they don't work for me. But this one definitely lived up to the hype. It was beautifully written, and I cannot wait to see what else Yagyasi writes, because to have Homegoing be your debut novel, I think you're already doing so well. So I have really high hopes for her next novels. I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye on what else she publishes. Then the book that I read after that was Tar Baby by Toni Morrison, and I buddy read this with Amanda. It's about a girl named Jadine who has been raised by 2 servants, Sydney and Ondine. They've raised her as their own, and Sydney and Ondine have been the servants of a man named Valerian Street and his wife Margaret. They have been serving him for years and years, and as they bring up Jadine, Valerian is kind of her patron and has paid for her schooling and her travels to Paris and things like that. So Jadine has grown up in a world of privilege in a sense. So when she comes home for Christmas, they live in Dominique. They are kind of expecting the son of Valerian and Margaret to come to Christmas dinner. While they're waiting for all of that to happen, they discover that there's a man named Sun that's been hiding in the house and is kind of a runaway, and he has been, you know, stealing little bits here and there to try to survive. So they discover him, and then surprisingly Valerian invites him to dinner, and that's how Sun and Jadine meet. When he meets Jadine, he kind of falls for her because she's really beautiful. He can't help but feel connected to her even though they're very different, and it's kind of the classic tale of opposites attract. I could kind of see right away though that it would never work, because Sun is definitely like, why are you taking advantage of all of these benefits from a white person, and you don't think that you're really black, you don't really act like a typical black woman, you should embrace your blackness. That's his whole angle. And then Jadine's more like, I'm going to take advantage of any opportunity that I get. I'm not going to let anybody put me in a box of what a black woman should be. So that's kind of like the comparisons between them, and so I already knew that that wasn't going to work out. So the story kind of follows them in their relationship as well as what's going on back home. There is a lot going on, and I couldn't really find the focus of this book. There's a lot of talks about blackness and identity, and there's talks about abuse and love, and so it's all kind of mixed together, but I never felt like there was a common thread that brought the story from beginning to end. The end is very ambiguous and vague and confusing, and I had to look up a couple of things to kind of figure out what exactly the end is supposed to mean. The title Tar Baby refers to like a folklore, so you have to kind of understand that folklore to really understand what the book is really about. And so the themes were very confusing, and it was just very disappointing. So in the sense that I never really felt like I got a full story. And so I ended up giving it 3 stars, which really hurt my heart because I love Morrison so much. After reading Beloved, I just cannot find another book by her that lives up to that. I don't know if anybody else has had this experience where you read a book by an author that you absolutely love, and then everything after that just doesn't come close. That's how I feel about Morrison and all of the other books that I've read by her. So I gave that 3 stars, and then the last book that I read was Animal Intelligence by Virginia Morel, which I did a full review on, where I pretty much gushed about this book. I love the structure, I love how well researched it is and how fascinating all the facts were, and it makes me want to read more books about animals and animal intelligence and biology. Definitely something that I want to focus on this year for sure. So overall, I think I had a pretty okay reading month. I had 2 great standout books and 2 not so great books. And then 2 books that I hope to read in March or this last week of February is Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward. I definitely want to start that one. I didn't get a chance to get to it. And then I also am going to be reading The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan, and this is going to be for my offline book club. So those are 2 books that I'll be concentrating on the next couple weeks. Things are going to be hectic because I'm moving next month. It's going to be kind of crazy, but I hope to at least get some reading done here and there. So yeah, so that was my reading month for February. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of the books I mentioned or if you have any recommendations for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to be back here soon.